Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back once again, and it is a well, I wouldn't say very wet, but it is still a wet Emilia Romagna Enzo Di Ferrari Autodromo International Grand Prix. I did try, but every time I do it off the camera, I can nail it. But whenever I'm on the camera, I just mess it up in more ways than one. Oh well, as always, I am your host, CRL Spider 95, and welcome to Imola. Now, we are pretty much on... We're nearly there, people. We are nearly there. One round to go after this. This is the penultimate round. And 3 drivers still have a chance to be the CRL Tier 3 champion. But one of them could potentially be crowned champion tonight. We'll go into the maths and all that in a little bit. Just a little bit of time. Just waiting for the drivers to obviously decide their strategy, because we've got a little birdie at the moment that's just sent me a lovely message. It's wet quali, so it's going to be wet. But the race, a bit of both. So we'll, a bit of both in the race. So we'll see what happens. Right then, let's go find the first person to jump on board with. It is Strauss. We're going to stick on board with him while we go round and do the maths. As it stands in Tier 3, 3 drivers still with a chance of winning the championship. Brabbitt, the championship leader, has 156 points. 4-star in P2 with 150, and McConey in P3 with 126. Now, I've been doing the maths all evening, and that means I had to use my brain. I know, right? Rob using his brain in a calculator. Who would have thought it? Now, if Brabbitt finishes P1 and 4-star finishes P2 and McConey finishes P3, so the exact order the championship is in now. McConey is out of the running for Tier 3 championship, and it goes to round 12 where it'll be a showdown between Brabbitt and 4-star, because this is without any fastest lap points. Brabbitt would be on 186 and 4-star would be on 174. McConey, unfortunately, no way of catching up, would be on 146. The best he could hope for is potentially P2 in the championship. However, if 4-star finishes anywhere from P2 to P4, it will still go to round 12 for the championship. But it will be a lot harder for 4-star to win. However, if Brabbitt wins and 4-star finishes P5 or lower, that's it. The championship is over, and Brabbitt will be crowned Tier 3 champion. However, there is still maths that I didn't do, but that's the main maths. However, there is still a slight chance that McConey could be our Tier 3 champion. He has to hope that Brabbitt and 4-star both DNF this evening. And then it will be a 3-way battle for the championship next week in the season finale in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Oh, that's the biggest amount of effort that my brain has had to go through quite recently. I am by myself again this evening, people, so do bear with me. I will try to keep on board with the action as best as I can. I can't promise everything. However, I will try my absolute hardest. So what can we say about Imola? One of 2 Italian circuits that was on the actual F1 calendar. However, this season Imola was called off due to rain. And if you remember, many moons ago, we did a full 100% race to raise money for the Imola Foundation at the time. Strauss goes fastest in today's session with a 1:22.8. Next across the line, I believe, is going to be a Haas, and that is going to be of 4-star. No, well, he did next across the line, but he's he's now on his hot lap. So it's going to be, I believe, an Alfa Romeo next. It's going to be McConey. What can McConey do? McConey goes second fastest, 1:22.895. Not a lot separator. Clark goes 1:23.956, while Palmer, the newly appointed Tier 4 champion for Season 9, goes P1 with a 1:22.4. But DeWill goes, you might be a champion, but I'm here now, Palmer. And he goes 1:22.4. Yellow flag in Sector 1, I believe it's just for a car to get a pass. Everyone's coming in thick and fast at the moment, so we'll wait for everyone to catch up before I do anything more there. I believe we've got a Red Bull of... It's not, it is called Paradox. in the Williams. Now, as I was saying, yeah, TGT Palmer this week was crowned our Tier 4 champion as he led to victory. So he'll be joining these boys probably next season. For real, hopefully, as a full-time driver. Gold Paradox goes P9 with 124.388. Lovely time.
Champ trophy.
Exactly. Kevin, multiple champ. Palmer, he only has one. Alright then, another Red Bull's about to cross the line. I believe that's the ban. He's about to start his hot lap. KXI is invalidated. So who's crossing the line now? 4-star P6, 123.3. Then who's next? It's not that Alpha. I believe it's that Alpha. It is. It's Laconi. Burnt through all his DRS. He goes P3, 122.6. He's slowly building his way back up. Alright, let's go and find out who's next out of these bottom two to cross the line. It's not going to be the Red Bull. Well, it is going to be the Red Bull because KXI has invalidated. So we'll stick on board with Stevan. Brabbit is now on his hot lap. We'll jump on board with him in a minute. A lot of pressure on Brabbit this evening. Well, the three that I mentioned earlier. It's a lot of pressure on all of them. Who's your money on? Can Brabbit secure the championship tonight? Time will tell. Now, I do apologise. I am eating my tea at the same time. But don't worry. Whenever I go to gulp, I'll have my mic muted. I'm not an animal. Technically, I'm an arachnid. Little insect joke there. Now, you're probably wondering, where is Mr. AFL this evening? Well, Mr. AFL is currently feeling under the weather, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be back for the season finale in Brazil. So if you are watching AFL, everyone here at the CRL family wishing you a speedy recovery. Right. Still on board with KXI, who I got confused with KSI in the cone chat. Obviously, KSI's fighting Tommy Fury this week, and I rather stupidly said in the party chat that it was KXI. So KXI, if you're listening, I hope you beat Tommy Fury. Anyway, he is about to set his first hot lap of the evening. He's going to go P14 with 126.7. Rabbit. Let's see what he can do. It's a Ferrari, it's a number 5, potentially doing what Vettel couldn't do in the Ferrari number 5. Obviously, the Ferraris and the AlphaTauris, a lot of pressure on them this evening. Obviously, it's Italy. The Italian teams expected to do well, otherwise the drivers will be chased out of there with the villagers and the pitchforks. Lovely time here from Brabbit so far, making it look easy. Remember, it's also quite wet out there as well, so Imola's a hard track on the best of days. Going out there in the rain as well, braver than me. Luckily, it was a dry race for Tier 5 earlier on in the week. However, I didn't really see much of it. I had to retire early on in the race. Yellow flag in Sector 1. I believe that's for one of the Alpines. Brabbit round the final corner now. What's Brabbit going to do? People would expect him to go top of the table. What's he going to do? Brabbit only achieving P8. That's good news for Laconi and 4-star. More for Laconi over 4-star. But Brabbit goes 123.0. Still plenty of time left in the session. Still plenty of things can happen. So let's jump on board with Steban, the only driver who has yet to set a lap. I believe he's on his hot lap at the minute, looking good so far. This is one of the hardest sections of the track. Now, I will be doing maths throughout all of this session. So you never know. You just never know. It could go. We could be in for a complete shock here. But Steban only going 13th, 123.7. And every driver has now set a lap. Not much separating the top two. Literally 0.003 of a second separating the top two between DeWitt and Strauss. Let's jump back on board with McConey. Looking to improve that time, potentially go P1. He really does desperately need to get a good, as high as he can, up the table in this Grand Prix today. Good lap here so far from McConey. McConey desperately needs to get as high as he possibly can. Separate himself between Brabbitt and 4-star. Brabbitt and 4-star both P8, P9 in quali. McConey currently sitting P3. Some Scott fans in the chat.
Up the mechanic, come on lad.
What can McConey do? Is he going to improve? He doesn't. No improvement there. Still sits P3. Still a little bit of time left this session. 6 minutes left in the session. Anything can happen. Since we had a shout out for Scott, let's jump on board with him. The Tier 5 comms and one of the head admins of CRL. Is Scott going to improve? Currently sitting P16. He is now going to go P15. He does improve. Jumps up one spot. 124.2 is his time. But I think he's still got a bit of improvement in him. Now let's jump on board with another one. P2 in the championship. It is 4-star in the Haas. Remember, only currently as it stands, only 6 points separate between Brabbitt and 4-star. These are the two main contenders at the moment for the championship. Remember, all 4-stars got to do is finish between P1 and P4, and this will go to the final round next week in Brazil. If 4-star finishes in P5 or lower and Brabbitt wins today, that is it. The championship is over. As Tobes calls it a day, or does he crash out? Either way, he's out of the qualifying session. Let's see what happens. Yellow flag in sector 3. I'm going to assume. Looking out for a male. I think Tobes may have retired on track. McConey goes fastest, 122.3. That's big news for McConey, separating himself between Rabbit and 4-star even further. That's great stuff. For those that are just tuning in, there's big stuff happening tonight. As Indian Jesus goes fastest, 122.287. Potential we have for a champion to be crowned tonight under the right circumstances. So McConey has been bumped down to P2. 4-star and Brabbitt both still P8, P9. As we have a yellow flag in sector 1, I believe it's for one of the Ferraris. Possibly Brabbitt. 4-star coming round the last corner, but he's going to come back into the pits. Calling off that lap. Obviously wasn't too happy with it, so let's go find somebody else. Let's jump on board with the real DC. We haven't shown Dan a bit of love in a few... Well, I don't think we've shown love that much at all. Obviously, one of my AlphaTauri teammates. I can't be biased, but Dan, AlphaTauri kind of needs a bit of a boost, mate. I hope you're prepared to try and help us here. People in the comments, let us know, who are you supporting tonight? Do you want Brabbitt to clinch the title here and now? Or would you prefer us to go one more round? Take it to a title fight in Brazil. I know what my money's on. I know what I'd like. That's for me to know and you guys to find out. Okay, good time so far from here. Dan currently improving on his time at the moment. 100 down, up on his time. I should say. Obviously, just me doing the comms tonight, Mr. AFL. Everybody wants a title fight, that's for sure. But yeah, my co-host, Mr. AFL, unfortunately has been struck down with the flu, and unfortunately he's not here this evening. All of us here at CRL wishing him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll be back for the final round next week in Brazil. Another yellow flag in Sector 3, I believe that's for one of the Alpine? No, it's a Williams, I believe that's a yellow flag for. Red Bull getting out of the way for DC as he's coming in round the final corner to complete his lap. Ennis now goes fastest with 121.7. What can DC do? DC improves and goes 122.7 and up to P7, just going above the newly appointed Tier 4 champion TGT Palmer, who'll be looking to probably be in Tier 3 or whatever the equivalent will be next season, depending on how many tiers there is actually. There seems to have been a little bit of a bump somewhere up the road. I think it's just for the Aston Martin getting out of the way. Nothing too major to report there on DeWill. So let's jump on board with the championship leader. That's currently Brabbit. Brabbit, on the looks of it, on a hot lap. Let's see if he can get himself back up there. McConey currently P3, 4-star currently P9. Brabbit currently starting in P11. If it was to end as it was now anyway. Let's see if Brabbit's going to have any of it. Brabbit goes P2. Ferrari 1-2 at the moment. It's a front row lockout as it stands for the Ferraris. And Brabbit will be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief as he keeps this championship spicy. Right then, 4-star, jump on board with him. He's just setting his hot lap now. 4-star will be wanting to catch up to McConey and Brabbit as best as he can. Let's take a look. So, apart from Ennis, from P2 all the way down to P12, there's not even a second in it. Quite close. That's why I like Tier 3 so much. Because Tier 3, you can't tell. You really can't tell what it's going to be like here in Tier 3. It's a mix and match of everything. As the checkered flag is now being waved. So we're going to leave 4-star and find who's coming in next. Right, that's Brabbit done for the day. He's going to take P2 as his best. The next is going to be a Haas, and that is for 4-star. What's 4-star going to do? 4-star currently sitting P11. What's he going to go? Stays P11. Bad news for 4-star. He'll be wishing that didn't happen. Up next, McConey goes P2. That's good news for McConey. Who's next? That was an Alpine of Strauss. He goes 1 minute 21.9999. Somebody else just crossed the line. That was Cold Paradox. Right, next up is an Aston Martin. That's DeWill. He improves and goes P2, separating the front. Ooh, even more. Then we got an AlphaTauri. That was for DC. He finishes P9. You got a Red Bull. That I believe is Claire. That's the band. He's coming into the pits. So that's P12 for him. Here comes the other Aston Martin of Indian Jesus. Yeah, but he's gone, you know what, Rob, I fancy coming in the pits as well, fair enough. KXI, or KSI as I accidentally called him the other day, he's about to cross the line, currently sitting 16th, and he's still sitting 16th. As the other AlphaTauri also crosses the line, he goes P7, Cold Paradox, well, he's there. And I believe that is our grid for this evening. Everybody has either finished or retired. Jump on board with our own KSI. It's going to be an interesting race, that's for sure, and we've got plenty of action between here and the checkered flag. So, as it stands then, Ennis in P1, DeWill P2, McConey P3, Strauss P4, Brabbit P5, Indian Jesus P6, Crack P7, Clark P8, Real DC P9, and Palmer P10, 4-star P11, Staban P12, Cole Paradox P13, Tobes P14, Free4 P15, and KXI P16. Now, as it stands, if this was going to be the final result, Brabbit would be the winner of Tier 3. But anything can still happen. Plenty of safety cars to mix it all up. We've still got a race to complete, people, before we potentially crown a champion. Let's see what happens before we count everybody out. I can't wait to see what happens. I know you can't wait to see what happens. So get comfortable as we head to the race at Imola. And it's a dry start. The drivers will be loving that. It's a dry start. But the little birdie tells me that there, could potentially be some rain throughout this race. Am I bluffing or am I telling the truth? Time will tell. It does look quite overcasty though. So we could be in for a nice wet race. But a dry to wet race, that's always interesting, because when do you come into pit? When do you make the call? Is the other person going to come in before you? Who's going to be the first one to come into winters? It's all them questions. Imola in the wet and me have a interesting experience. How I got my first podium in CRL, so long as you know how to call the weather right, a podium is achievable. Drivers setting up, making any last minute changes they can to their wings. We won't be far now from lights out. Who's your money on? Let me know. I know there's people watching. Tell me, who do you want to win? Do you want Brabbit to win the championship? Do you want 4-star? Who's your money? Brabbit, 4-star, or McConey? I know who my money's on, but I can't say because I've got to be impartial. My money's on the safety car. Safety car for race winner. As here we go, we are now getting ready for lights out. It is 5 lights out in Imola, and away we go. It was a quick start. Ennis gets a good start, but DeWill and Ennis are going to battle for P1 straight away. Right, here we are. Ennis drops down to P3 as DeWill moves up to P1, Crack up to P5. It's a good start. Mixture of softs and mediums here on the track as an Aston Martin of Indian Jesus bottles it and goes off. He's dropping down, and I think he may have clipped Ennis on the way back in. That was an unsafe ring join there. From Indian Jesus. He should know better than that in the Aston Martin. Well, that was interesting. DeWill now has lead the Grand Prix. So let's take a look to see where our race leaders are. Let's take a look to see where our race leaders are. Well, championship leaders are. McConey is in P4, Brabbit is in P5, and 4-star all the way down in P9. I'll do some maths on that later on. As DeWill sets the benchmark, it's a 1:20 now. If the rain is coming, the boys will be wanting to set the fastest lap as quickly as they can. That extra point that they get for doing the fastest lap could decide a championship. Will's got a nice little gap between him and Strauss, but the gap ain't big enough to be too comfortable. Nice little battle, freeway battle at the front. DeWill, Strauss and Crack lead the Grand Prix. Brabbit up to P4, McConey in P5, Clark P6, Palmer P7, 4-star P8, DC P9, Staban looks like he's going to go 4. The overtake potentially here on... Let's just stick on board with this at the moment. Fastest lap being traded between the drivers like there is no tomorrow. Crack moves up to P2. Nice little overtake's going here. Scott's trying to get round DC. Can he get it done? I believe he can, yes. Look at this. Nicely done there from Scott. Beautifully, beautifully done. That chicane, it's a very quick chicane. You've got to take it at speed. As we now come up to another one. I normally struggle around this corner. These boys make it look easy. It's a reason why I'm in tier 5 and they're in tier 3. So we're just going to stay on board with 3-4 for just 2 seconds.
Happening.
Apologies about that. Some people just can't get the message that I can't talk. Right then, let's jump on board with Brabbit, who's currently in P4. Brabbit just needs to keep his cool. It's 32 laps to the finish line. 4 down, 28 remaining. As the rain is starting to come down already, it's not going to be long until inters are going to need to come out. I hope people have got their wet strategies still on. I hope people took that into consideration. DRS has now been disabled, so even the in-game stewards have said that it's not dry enough for that. Obviously the DRS would normally, so whoever's got the fastest laps probably just sat there rubbing their hands and going, oh, thank you very much for that. Let's take a look to find out who's we've got. I believe that's KXI who's done for a bit of a spin in the background. It is Cold Paradox getting around DC. He's now P11. Right, fastest lap is Brabbit. Brabbit's got it as all the front runners are coming in. They've all gone, you know what, enough's enough. Everyone's coming in. Everybody's gone, yeah, I'm just going to double stack on my teammate. 3-4 picks up a 5-second penalty. Everybody, I think, except KXI has come in at the moment, and I don't blame them in the slightest. KXI picking up a 5-second penalty for his trebles as well. But everyone has dived in and everybody is on the intermediate tyres. So Brabbit is going to pick up an extra point this evening regardless, because unless it dries up, fastest lap will still be a 1:17.587. Sorry, I'm just doing maths in my notebook, that's why I went a bit quiet. 4-star down to P6. It's so tense, you can cut it with a knife. KXI picking up another 3-second time penalty. Apologies for lack of comms, people. I just really can't think of what to say this evening. It's so close. I'm just like lost in the moment as Strauss comes into pit. Cody P4 trying to hunt down Brabbit. 4-star P5 trying to hunt down Brabbit. I don't know exactly how many points P3 and P2 are worth at the moment, and hopefully maybe might be able to keep you updated as the race keeps going on what points are worth and where. So, as it stands, Brabbit would currently get 21 points on today's table, so that would put him on 177. 4-star, as it stands, if he ended in 5th, would currently get 14, which would put him on 100. It would still go to a last round shootout, people. It's still very plausible. But wet weather and safety cars could potentially change this, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. 4-star, just keep your head in the game, mate, and keep going. That's all we can ask. Right, let's go show some love to the recently and newly appointed champion in CRL. That is Clerp, and that's a safety car. Oh, and Freefall's been entangled with it as well. You see what I mean? Safety cars, and it could change everything. So, as I was saying, let's show some love to the newly appointed champion in CRL Tier 4 for Season 9. Many people feared this day, many people thought this day would never happen, but yes, TGT Palmer is a CRL champion. I, for one, want to congratulate Harry Palmer, and he's done well to prove everybody wrong. But there is a safety car, so let's jump on board with our race leader, and let's see what everybody's going to do. Do you come in for a fresh set of inters, or is it just getting that little bit too heavy, and would you go for a set of wets? Well, we'll find out from drivers in a moment. So most people not opting to pit, apart from the drivers that have got damn. Oh, Harry Palmer is opting to pit. Freefall's opting to pit. Palmer, on the other hand, does believe it is heavy enough for a full set of wet tyres. Now this could be interesting. So just having a quick eye in the paddock. Find out what exactly went on. I believe Clark may have lost control of his car and 3-4 accidentally got caught up inside of that. Brabbitt and 4-star keeping this championship battle alive. DeWill P1, Brabbitt P2, 4-star P3. At the moment, as it stands, it will be a last round shootout between Brabbitt and 4-star, because if McConey doesn't improve, it will be, well, I say it will be, he will be out of this competition. However, multiple drivers are now deciding that it is too heavy rain for Inters. We have now got 4 drivers on the wet tyres. Palmer, McConey, Crack and Tobes have all decided that it is way too heavy. Still plenty of time left in this. We're projected to get Racing the Grey under again on lap 11. As the championship does draw to a close, these boys have put on an amazing show, and if you've watched and gone, how can I be part of that? Well, come and find the CRL Discord server and keep an eye on on that Discord channel, because no doubt sign-ups for the next season, when and if it happens, will be out soon enough. So we're now up to 6 drivers on the wets. Maybe their engineers are telling them something that we don't know. A lot of the grid's still thinking that it's fine with Inters, but that rain is getting heavier and heavier. Imola's always got a high % chance of rain because of where it's based in Italy. Let's see if any of these front runners now decide the same and give up the position and come in for wets. I don't know what I'd do personally. I think I would come in for wets, but then again, I'm not the one driving. I had one of the rare occasions where Imola was a dry race, but I think they're going to have to hold out now until after the race gets going again. It will potentially be lap 11, like I said, when we get underway. It all depends on how quickly the Haas of KXI and the McLaren of Freefall can catch back up to the pack. They've both gone for wet as well. KXI is retired from session. He's come into the pits and he's called it a day. There were 14 drivers left. So, as I was saying, safety cars should be in this lap because 3-4 has pretty much caught back up to the pack. And there it is, confirmation on what I was saying was true and that I do know my stuff. Safety car is indeed in this lap, so DeWill will take lead of the pack as the safety car begins to separate itself.
Noob Callum face with tears of joy.
So, what's your money? Who's your money on at the minute? Brabbitt and 4-star, P2, P3. McConey down in P10. No doubt, though, the intermediate drivers will all need to come back in shortly, so we'll just have to wait and see on what happens. Still plenty of racing left in this race, and we are back underway with racing. Aston Martin of DeWill leading the Grand Prix. Brabbitt in P2. Will any of the wet drivers get away quickly? That's the question. Into the Russell and Bottas corner. It's getting wet out there. The boys are struggling for grip. The Inter drivers are anyway. Palmer up to P9. Oh no, he's down to P10. He's had a bit of a spin as Palmer. He's down to P13. He's 4. Oh, look at this. They're spinning everywhere. Strauss on the Inter, struggling for grip. He's like Bambi. He's down to P14. The Alpines. The Alpine drivers, both P13, P14. 3-4 with a point at the moment as he stands in P12. Remember, points are awarded from P1 to P12 here at CRL. So plenty of opportunities and still a long way to go yet. Even the wet tyres look to be slightly struggling. How wet is it here in Imola? The Inter drivers, they've surely got to be thinking about coming in. Look at this, the Aston Martin's crawling round there. If he doesn't come in, is he coming in? He's staying out! They're staying out! They must think that it's going to get drier. Boys, it's not going to get any drier. But fair play to them. Away they go again. Let's stick on board with this. Brabbitt trying to hunt down Do Will. Here we go into the Valtteri Russell corner. There's no Valtteri Russell moments at the moment. A bit further down the grid. There we go, look. No one's in a war. Palmer and Strauss have got round 3-4. 3-4 leading the rear. As we've got a yellow flag down in Sector 2. I believe that's for Indian Jesus. He now falls behind 3-4. It's those Inter tyres, I'm telling you now, they are not suitable for these track conditions. Strauss up to P11. Trying to disprove what I just said. Got some love to Cole Paradox, the host of today's session. Back on board with the championship leader, that is Brabbitt. Still staying out. Must be copying what the leader of the race is doing at the minute. Or he must feel confident on those inters. Either way, he's still out. Into the Valtteri Russell corner. Nicely done by the majority of the drivers so far. There's only been a couple of wobbles so far. There goes Staban. Crack and McConey having a bit of a go. Going through at speed for the rest of them as we move further on down the track. As one of the drivers, I believe that was an AlphaTauri, it's Crack. He goes wide, massively wide. Bit of a wide crack. Into the corner that I don't like. Indian Jesus getting around P4. Indian Jesus back up to P13. It's very tense. You can feel the atmosphere. There's Ennis. He's gone wide. As Crack picks up a 3-second time penalty. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 2 again. What's going on? Let's see if we can find out what's going on, shall we? Sector 2. I believe that is for Tobes. He's gone a bit slow, so I'm thinking that probably was for him. Nothing too major, though. Race gets back underway as normal. Go back on board with the front runners again. Now, are they going to come in? The question answer is no. No one deciding to come in there. No. They're not staying out. Is Staban going to come in? He's staying out. So Strauss. The wet runners aren't going to. What's Indian Jesus going to do? AlphaTauri have cracked there. I don't know what he was doing. 3-4's coming in as well. Crack's called it a day. 3-4 going for a new set of inters. Maybe the rain is dying off. Maybe 3-4 knows something that we don't know. Right then. Let's see what happens here. Back on board with Do Will. Yellow flag in Sector 1. That'll be because the AlphaTauri of Crack has decided to come back out, but it's not his fault. He did the right thing and retired in the pit. So his AI is now currently out on track. Brabbit sticking close to DeWill. 4-star trying to catch up as close as he can to Brabbit. Bit of a gap between the two now. TGT Chalmer picking up a 3-second time penalty. Not how he's wanting to start off his first race as champion, let's face it. Currently scoring a point for Alpine at the minute. Remember, in Tier 3 he's a reserve. The yellow flag down in sector, as that's McConey gone wide, and I think that sealed his fate, people. I think that's all they wrote for McConey, as the both Alfa Romeos are in the pits. They're going to be double stacking, and McConey's going to lose out as a consequence. Not by much, but one of the longest pit lanes here in Imola. Now maybe the front runners that stayed on their intos, maybe they knew.
Got bodywork damage when going into the gravel.
Oh, that's unlucky, Crack. That's really, really unlucky.
I don't know how TF that happens.
That's really unlucky, mate. And put an end to your race quite early. But we'll see you next week in Brazil, I'm sure. Right then, 3-4 P12. As we've got another yellow flag, I believe that's for Staban, and it is. He came off track, but back underway again. Nothing too major. Palmer, the only driver now that is left. He is the only driver left now on wets. Maybe, just maybe, the front runners that all went on to intos and didn't bother to come in. Maybe they knew. Maybe they thought that wets wasn't the way forward. Let's see what Palmer does. Is he going to come in? The answer is yes. Even he's gone. You know what? Wets aren't the way forward. As he picks up a 5-second penalty, he tries his hardest to brake, but he came in a bit too quick. Indian Jesus. That's him in the gravel. Look how far wide he's gone. He's building sandcastles. Oh, and he's spinning it a bit more. No, he's not going to like that. Go on, Indian Jesus. You got this. You got this, mate. Go on. I got faith in you. There we go. You got it. There we go, lad. Round the corner. And up the hill. And off you go. There you go. You got it, mate. Right then. McConey's into the pits again. I don't know if he's calling it a day or not. But he's in again. He's only just come in. He went to a set of wets. He now thinks the rain's getting heavier. These boys can't make their mind up. However, here comes the front of the drivers. Here comes the front runners. I think there's going to be some blue flags in the near future as Rabbit has a bit of a wobble there in the background. He's got it under control though. Both boys racing down towards the Russell and Valtteri corner. To me, it doesn't look like the rain is getting any better. Personally, I couldn't call what it would be. I'm really glad that I am not racing a wet Imola. I could think of any more nightmare fuel if I wanted. Well, then again, a wet Monaco sounds quite scary as well. As we've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, and Strauss is out of this Grand Prix, and that will be a safety car. Now then, we're going to bunch the pack back together. I think that may have just saved the bacon of Bocconi. There's the after. Oh, the safety car takes Indian Jesus out! The safety car has caused murder! It's not very safe at all! We've got it on stream! Oh, it's brilliant! Deploy the safety car! Kill the Aston Martin! God. Oh dear, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. If I don't end up on 4-Stars TikTok, I don't know what won't. I'm sorry, I shouldn't find that as amusing as I have done. I'm so sorry, Indian Jesus. I really don't want to laugh at your misfortune, but Imagine you being on where I am and just seeing a safety car plow into you and taking you out of the Grand Prix. I am really sorry. I shouldn't have found that as funny as I did. If I am sacked next week, you know why. Oh dear, but we love it. We love it when a bit of drama and mayhem happens. We're down to 11 drivers in this Grand Prix, which means the 11 drivers that are left are guaranteed points at least. All the drivers coming in for new inters, more than likely. No, Ennis has gone for new wets. Oh god. Oh, that was absolute carnage. Absolute carnage. I absolutely love it. Can you tell that I used to be a fan of Robot Wars when I was a kid? Anyway, safety car has been deployed. The wheel's catching up now, and we're most likely projected to be back racing around lap 20. As it stands, if McConey still finishes P10, McConey, his championship is done. It will be a two-horse race into the final round next week in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Oh dear, right. So we're just over halfway through this Grand Prix, and we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 DNFs, and one of those DNFs came from the hands of the safety car. Oh dear, that was pure carnage. I really do feel bad for Indian Jesus. I shouldn't have laughed at his misfortune as much as I did then, and I am really sorry if you're watching this back, Indian Jesus, but it was quite funny. But obviously get it reported. I don't think there's much we can do. But I just want to remind people that at the start of this Grand Prix, I said my money was on the safety car to win. I think I've just won on that bet. But yeah. So, in fact, we're just waiting for the pack to get back together. We're just waiting for Palmer and McConey to catch up. That safety car has indeed saved McConey's bacon. There is a good chance now he could try and catch back up and work his way through the grid. Oh, oh, it's good to see that Indian Jesus is taking it with a It's good to see that Indian Jesus is taking it with a pinch of salt. He's posted his clip of his unfortunate end in this race. But Duwill has done fantastic to retain the lead of this Grand Prix. He's led the majority of it in keeping Brabbit at bay. Maybe Duwill can avenge his fallen teammate and get that victory for Aston Martin and for Mr. AFL, of course, who was also an Aston Martin driver here at CRL. So I think we're going to get re-racing on lap 21 to allow the Alpine of TGT Palmer to catch back up. Sorry, just reliving that faithful moment that Indian Jesus has posted into the paddock chat for those to enjoy later on this evening. It's good to see he's taking it with a pinch of salt. It's always great to see. Safety car should be in this lap. The pack is back together. We will get racing again on lap 21. Hopefully the safety car doesn't murder anyone on the way back. So, just waiting for the all clear from that safety car. There it is, safety car in this lap. He's going to move away before he can hurt anybody else. The worst of it is, it's an Aston Martin safety car and it killed an Aston Martin. There can only be one Aston Martin on track at a time, and it's only going to be the safety car. DeWill, I'd be very frightened of what that safety car has got in mind for you, mate. I'd stay away at all costs. Slowly make your way to the line. That way you know the safety car is back in the pit. Oh dear. Right, let's get him racing on lap 21. We're coming around the corner. Is DeWill going to go quick or is he going to go slow? I think it's going to be. And he is off trying to catch Brabbitt Snoop. And we're on the way racing on lap 21. Green flag conditions and away we go. Oh, are we going to see anything more? Is anything else going to happen? I believe there was a Ferrari battling a Haas there, as it's now a Ferrari, as we've got 4-star going wide, massively wide, down to P4, slight tap there, there's wings flying everywhere, and that's from the AlphaTauri of DC, had to be an AlphaTauri, didn't it? Here comes the Red Bull as he bumps into DC in the background there. There's carnage on track where you look. 4-star drops down to P5. He's got to try and catch back up to Brabbitt. What did I say? I think if Brabbitt finishes P2 and 4-star finishes P5, he's still in it. If Brabbitt gets up to P1 and 4-star finishes P5, that would be it. Well, let's keep an eye and see how this championship goes. 4-star desperately trying to get round Cole Paradox in the Williams. For those just tuning in, there's been murder, there's been mayhem, there's been action, and there's still almost just over 10 laps of racing left to go. TGT Palmer up to P7, McConey and DC dropped to P8, P9. We'll keep an eye on Brabbitt. Brabbitt trying to catch up to DeWill. Real BC picks up a 5-second time penalty. He's speeding in the pit. He's got to change his and he's now retired from the race. AlphaTauri have called it a day. They're off home. No points for AlphaTauri yet again. Now then, can Brabbitt catch up to DeWill? He has to get round. If Brabbitt can get round DeWill and Cole Paradox can hold a 4-star in P5, the championship is over. Good battling going on no matter where you look. There seems to be a battle between a McLaren and an Alfa Romeo as Tobes gets around 3-4. 3-4 goes wide, has been nudged. And Tobes relinquishes the position. And then back on board with this battle for P1. Brabbitt still trying on the attack for DeWill. 4-star still in P5. As it stands, we go to round 12. Brabbitt's got to get in front, or Staban's got to get round 4-star. The 4-star. He's having a bit of a battle with Cole Paradox at the moment. Pretty much even between 4-star and Cole Paradox, like it is between Brabbitt and DeWill. No DRS assistance here, so it's going to be Four-star up to P4. Cole Paradox couldn't hold him at bay. Brabbitt ideally needs to go for the win now to try and keep that distance. Let's jump back on board with that battle for P1. Brabbit literally up the rear of the Aston Martin. The rain isn't easing off. This rain is still going to be coming down. Remember, Brabbit has the fastest lap at the moment. Extra point heading his way unless all of a sudden the sun comes out to play. Brabbit trying to catch up to Duil. It's currently a Ferrari 2-3 here in Italy. 4-star trying to hunt down Ennis. Trying to lower that wound as best as he can. There's Staban and Palmer. Palmer drifting around the corner. I think he may have had a slight tap with Staban there. Nothing too serious though. McConey's trying to catch up as well. McConey's got to get to the top. Tobes in P9, there he is. 3-4 P10, there he is. They know they're all guaranteed points. It'd be foolish to retire in the pits now. Battle for P1 still hotting up. Brabbit on the rear of Duil. 300ths between them. There's Ennis. 4-star in the rear look. Then Cole Paradox. Good race so far. There's been absolutely everything. Seems to have died off a little bit now. Everyone's settling in again. Palmer trying to catch up to Staban. Obviously newly appointed champion in Tier 4. This is what he's got to look forward to if CRL continues into Season 10. We'll see announcements about Season 10 if it's going to happen, obviously in the near future. Just keep an eye on the Discord for more details as Palmer has a bit of a wobble. Maybe those wet tyres, maybe they're not the ones, Palmer. Tony in the background doesn't appear to have much issues. Tobes, he's catching up, so's 3-4. Bit of a space now increasing between Brabbit and Duil. Brabbit now 400ths of a second between them. His teammate Ennis is going to be playing the ultimate team game here to help Brabbit as best as he can and keep that Haas of 4-star at bay. Nicely paced out at the moment. The real battle at the moment is between Brabbit and Duil. Brabbit looking to try and get the move done. Now down to 200ths of a second between them. Not easy to do in Imola, especially when it's wet. Only one DRS zone, but that's not active. Ennis picks up a 3-second time penalty. As we've got a bit of a spin further down, it's the, like I said earlier, it's the Tier 4 champion. Harry Palmer's had a bit of a spin. I don't think them wet tyres are the ones, Harry. I think it might be intermediate conditions once more. 3-4 will be happy with that. Moves it to P9. He'll go, thank you, Harry. I'll take them points instead. As you can just see there, Palmer, he's mowing the lawn. Right then, let's go and have a look somewhere else. There's the 2 Alfa Romeos, the Staban P6, Cole Paradox P5. 4-star trying to hunt down Ennis. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3 again. Let me guess. There he is. He's mowing the lawn again. Harry, the track's the black bit. That's the track, mate. Oh, he's coming in. He hits a wall. What's he going to do? It's points, Harry. And he's left. He's gone. First race as a champion, and he's retired in the pits. And then there was 9. So, if one more retires, half the grid will have retired. Obviously, one didn't willingly retire. One got taken out by the safety car. But, I'd love to see a report. Indian Jesus versus safety car. Safety car came out on track, team kill. Oh dear. Right then, let's jump back on board with Battle for P1. Brabbitt's still trying to get round De Will. 4-star is now up to P3. Keeping that gap between them as much as they can. Let's work out the points now as it stands, shall we? So, as it stands, it would put Brabbitt on 124, that would put him onto 181. And 4-star, as it stands, if he's in P3, would put him on 170 if it was to finish as it does now. McConey, just because we know he's still in with a chance at the championship at the moment, if he was to finish in P7, he would be walking away with 136. So it would definitely be a 2-horse race in the finish. To the finish line. 11 points between them as it stands. If the race was to end now, Brabbitt and 4-star. 11 points between them. So a big ask from 4-star next week. Brabbitt with the huge advantage if he wins today. But we still have got 5 laps left of racing yet. There's still a long way between here and the finish line as Brabbitt's looking to get the move done on De Will at long last as we're heading down to the Russell Valtteri corner. Brabbitt on the outside and gets round the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin is held on for the majority of the Grand Prix, but the championship leader retakes P1. So, I just did all that maths, people, and now I have to do maths again. Thank you very much, Brabbitt. Much appreciated. So, that would mean 187. So, Brabbitt will be on 187. 4-star will be on 170. And McConey would be on 1. Oh, he's dropped P9 since then. So he's now going to get 6 points. He'd be on 132. So it'd be a 17-point gap difference now between big ask. 4-star's got to get round De Will. Let's have a look. There's 4-star and there's De Will. Bit of a gap forming between them with 5 laps left to go, nearly 4. Let's see if we can find some other battles going on here. There really isn't any other battles going on at the moment apart from the battle for the top 3. So we're going to stick on board with Brabbitt for the time being. Actually, we'll jump on board with De Will as he tries to hunt down Brabbitt. Currently 4.1 gap between the two. Very, very interesting. Still a 2-horse race. And I can't wait for this finale in Sao Paulo, which basically means with a 17-point gap next week, if it finishes as it does now, Four-star and Brabbitt. I'll work that out later on. Actually, potentially get it now, to be fair. Four-star would need to win next week's race. I'll work it out later. There's too much action going on at the minute. Brabbitt is pretty much now in the lead. The gap between him and De Will has... I think we're pretty much settled in now. We're going to jump on board with the battle for P6. Battle between Tobes, Freefall and Ennis. Ennis has fallen down to P8. That's probably because of a pit stop. The Ferrari of Venice gets round 3-4. You can hear the Italians in the background, they're cheering. The Ferrari is overtaking a McLaren on home soil. However, if you listen carefully, you can hear the AlphaTauri boys being chased out of Imola by the villagers and their pitchforks. It's been a really, really good race. I can't decide who my driver of the day is, if I'm honest. I am gonna potentially vote for the safety car because of his brutal murder of Indian Jesus. But I can't vote for the safety car. I think, if I'm honest, it's going to go to Will because of the pure defence he's done in P1 for so long. Yeah, he's P2 now, but he's defended like a lion and retained that position as long as he could. Brilliant driving, you can't fault him, and for that, DeWill will be your commentator driver of the day. It's been a long race. 32 laps is long. Because you've got to have your concentration going for so long. On top of that, it's been raining. It started off with no rain, it was light rain, then it got heavy, and then it lowered again. I'm surprised it hasn't dried out. But it has been a long old race. There's been action, there's been battles, there's been overtakes. Lap and a half left now of this Grand Prix. Brabbitt set to look to make it another victory this season. But still can't take the crown because 4-star is currently P3. DeWill separating 4-star and Brabbitt from each other. The middleman, as we'll call him. 4-star will be looking to try and make 2.7 seconds up between him. It's been a really, really good race. I've enjoyed every second. For those at home that have watched the entirety of this Grand Prix, I hope you have enjoyed it. The Tier 1 and the Tier 2 boys are underway at the moment. Obviously, after we drop out, go and give them some love and show your support. It's been a long old race. It's been a good race. He's won quite a few Grand Prix in his time in Tier 3. He has led for not much of this race. He's worked his way to the top. He has one hand on the trophy. His rival 4-star has another hand on said trophy. They're gonna take it to Brazil, but he's got one corner left. As he heads down the final straight, Brabbitt is gonna win once again the Imola Grand Prix as he kills himself at the very end. Still crosses the line, but killed himself. DeWill will take P2, 4-star will take P3, as the championship will go on into the final round. Whole Paradox is going to come P4. Steban, he will come P5.
The clock going slow. Eyes.
Here comes Tobes in 3-4. There goes Tobes. There goes 3-4. As McConey will be the last man to cross the line. He had a long old championship, but unfortunately McConey is now out of the championship run-ins. It's a 2-horse race as we head to Sao Paulo next week. What a race! 3-4 voted your in-game driver of the day by the in-game stewards. A Ferrari driver on the top spot. He won't be chased out of Imola anytime soon. As Brabbitt receives another trophy for yet another win. It's another win for Ferrari. It's always good to see. So, confirmation, Brabbitt P1, Duwil P2, 4-star P3, Cold Paradox P4, Staban P5, Ennis P6, Tobes P7, 3-4 P8, and McConey P9. The rest of your drivers, unfortunately, did not finish. But, what we're going to do is, we're going to try and get the drivers in that finished top 3 for an interview. We'll see what happens. So, the screen's going to go blank temporarily, people, while we get the drivers in. Don't go anywhere. Well, the top 3 have all been invited for a podium interview. We'll have to wait and see if any of them do come in. One of them has confirmed. We'll just wait for him to join. We'll see if the other 2 do join. We are going to expect Brabbitt to join, to be fair. I don't know if 2 will join, so let's give it a couple of seconds and we'll wait to see what happens. In the meantime, we're going to speak to our 3rd place winner today. It is 4-star, mate.
Third place winner. That's new.
Third place winner.
Nice.
Give it a nice, interesting twist. But 3rd place, mate. Still with a chance of winning the championship. You can't be too disheartened.
Nah, that's kind of gone now with the points gap. But
well,
it's going to be very, very hard for me not to swear in this interview.
I've got the maths on paper, mate. As it stands, point-wise, provisionally, there is a 17-point gap now between you and Brabbitt. It's not impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. He doesn't make mistakes, which is fair. It's kind of, he races the same way I do, I think, and he's just a little bit quicker. So fair play to him. But we'll give it a go. You never know. Maybe if the person that took me out takes someone else out next week, we might have a chance.
So talk us through what happened, if you can or if you want to. Obviously,
it could have been a bit dirty as it was his teammate, but I was all the way over to the right hand side, heading into the corner, and before we even began turning, he just smashed me off the track. Basically, just completely pulled over and pushed me off. Well,
get it reported to the stewards, mate. It could be something that may need to be looked into, but we'll say no more on that matter. But you're still, I know it's a bit of a gap now between you and Brabbitt, provisionally. But it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible. But I'm frustrated because I feel I had the pace to be with them in the last stint. And without that being punted off, getting stuck behind cars that I shouldn't have been behind, I might have had half a chance. But there you go, that's racing for you, I suppose.
No, it's racing indeed. But next week, Brazil, mate, the season finale. How do you feel about Brazil? Is it a track that you like, or is it one that could potentially cause disaster?
I love it, but I never seem to have a good race there. Don't know why, don't know what it is, but it just never seems to go well. I get caught up in stuff. I think I've been like DNF, DSQ'd. It all seems to happen at Brazil to me for some reason. So it should be fun.
Well, hopefully, maybe your bad luck streak hopefully for Brazil may have come to an end, because there's still a chance you could be walking away. This time next week, you could be Tier 3 champion. Possibly. You've got to hold on to hope.
Luck is the only option. It's the only way it's going to happen, I think, at the moment. But you never know.
Mate, obviously, I'm being impartial. Obviously, I don't want to be biased, but obviously, I hope you get a good performance next week for yourself, and I hope you do potentially become a champion. I'll say the same thing to your competition, but good luck for next week, mate. It's going to be a long race for you. But
yeah,
on the positive side, if you check out the paddock chat, you've got something for your TikTok, which I'm pretty sure you're going to love.
The baguette?
No, not the baguette. My clip and Indian Jesus' clip. You are going to love what you see.
Good. Look forward to it. Good.
100%, mate, 100%. Obviously, once again, good luck for next week, mate, and well done on becoming P3.
Thank you, mate.
However, we now talk to... once again, he's won another Grand Prix in Tier 3. He's got one hand on the trophy at the moment alongside his rival. There's a 17-point gap. It is Brabbit once again as our winner.
Yeah, thank you. I will take it. Congrats to Duil. I mean, he had a solid pace, but yeah, I was just waiting for a mistake. It was so hard to overtake here. But then I don't know the exact lap, but then I think he got a little problem in the acceleration, and this was my chance to spam all the ERS, and yeah, this was my overtake to the win. So congrats to Duil, and yeah, the race was a little bit crazy because I didn't expect a dry track in the beginning. The forecast was red in the beginning, and then to the end it will be dry maybe. So a little bit confusing, but all in all, I think I did everything correct, and I will take it.
It was definitely an interesting race, for sure. Obviously, you didn't get pole today, but you are walking away with the fastest lap before the rain come down, so away with maximum points, mate. It's now 17 points between you and 4-star. That does give you a bit of advantage going into the final race. Brazil's the next and final stop on our calendar this season. What's Brazil like for you, mate?
It will be interesting. Brazil is a great track, like in real life and in racing, in F1, on the game. So I hope you can enjoy it. I hope it will be a normal race, like nothing crucial or nothing, yeah, to talk about later. But yeah, we will look. I will try to look forward, and we will see.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Who knows? This time next week, like I said to 4-star, you could be our champion, but it is going to come down to the final race of the season. I wish you all the luck for next week, mate, and hopefully, maybe, you'll be the Tier 3 champion.
Thank you.
But that is all we have time for yet again this week. The championship will march on to our final round of the calendar. That will take us to Brazil. It's the same time as always next week. I should be joined by my co-host, Mr. AFL, for the season finale in Sao Paulo. If you have not got enough action yet in your life, head on over, because Tier 2 and Tier 1 are still underway racing. However, from everyone here at CRL Tier 3, I'll wish you a good night, and we'll see you next week. Same time, where we will crown one of these two gentlemen our Tier 3 champion. Who's your money on? And will the safety car cause any more murders? That's the question on everyone's mind. Take it easy, and we'll see you again next week.